You ever notice how your city treats renting out one bedroom completely different from renting out your whole house? Like it is two different crimes with two different punishments? That is not an accident, that is zoning law playing favorites, and once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Most cities split short-term rentals into two buckets: entire home rentals and private room rentals, kind of like how a party where you invite everyone over is treated differently than a party where you just let one stranger sleep on your couch. When you rent out the whole house, the city assumes you are running a hotel, and hotels get regulated hard. Private room rentals usually get the easy pass because you, the actual human, are still living there. Cities figure if you are home, chaos is less likely, sort of like how a classroom behaves better when the teacher never actually leaves the room. Entire home rentals often need special permits, extra fees, and sometimes a cap on how many nights a year you can even do it. Some cities say 90 days a year max for an entire home, while a private room hosted by an actual resident can run all 365 days without anyone blinking. Here's the part that surprises people: owner occupancy is basically the secret password in most of these laws. If you live in the unit, even part-time, cities treat you like a helpful neighbor. But if you are absent, they treat you like an investor squeezing the neighborhood for cash. Think about it like a school dance. Chaperones get to stay past curfew because someone responsible is watching the room, but an empty house with random guests coming and going looks a lot more like an unsupervised house party that never ends. This distinction exists because of a very old fear: the fear that entire neighborhoods quietly turn into unofficial hotel districts. Picture a quiet street in 1995, all porches and lemonade stands, then fast forward and half the houses are revolving doors for tourists dragging roller bags at 11 at night. Cities call this hollowing out, when regular housing slowly becomes tourist inventory instead of homes for actual residents. So the entire home rental rules exist partly to slow that shift down, kind of like a speed bump instead of a stop sign. Private room rentals rarely trigger that fear because the housing unit is still, well, being lived in as a home. You cannot really hollow out a neighborhood one spare bedroom at a time the same way you can with 100 empty houses running as mini resorts. A common misunderstanding is thinking these rules are just cities being annoying or anti-hustle. Really, it is more like insurance policy thinking. Cities are trying to prevent worst-case outcomes, noise complaints, safety issues, and housing shortages, not just trying to ruin your side income. Doubt creeps in here too because plenty of hosts feel like the rules are inconsistent or unfair depending on which city you are in. And honestly, that doubt is fair because zoning law in the United States is basically thousands of tiny fiefdoms, each making up their own version of the same idea. It backs up the concern though. Cities with heavy entire home short-term rental growth have documented rent increases in tourist-heavy zip codes. It is basic supply and demand. Fewer long-term rentals available means landlords can charge more, so cities step in like a referee trying to keep the game fair. The lesson here, without sounding like a lecture, is that knowing your city's specific split between entire home and private room rules can save you real money and real headaches. Some hosts accidentally operate under the wrong permit type for over a year before getting flagged, and that mistake usually costs way more than the paperwork would have. So if you are thinking about hosting, the smartest move is not guessing. It is checking your local ordinance for exactly how it defines entire home versus private room before you even list your first night. Being prepared here is basically the cheat code that keeps this whole hosting thing fun instead of stressful. Want to learn more about how we help hosts navigate all this stuff without the headache? Check out our links in the description.